Okay. So the macroeconomics deals with the behavior and performance of an economy as a whole. Okay. And what are the questions it addresses you? It will tell you about what determines the average income of a country, why the average income is high in some countries and low in some other countries, why do prices rise rapidly in some periods and remain stable in other times, why do production and unemployment expand in some years and contracts in other years. So it's not about any individual person or individual firm here. What can the government do to promote rapid growth in income? Why does the economy go through a business cycle? So this is all about, totally it will talk about the total economy of a country. Okay. Now, let's say this way, that if we talk about Australian automobile industry, macro or macroeconomics, what do you think? Any idea? Anybody want to say anything?
Macroeconomy.
Loudly, please.
Macroeconomy.
Microeconomy. Yes. Little microeconomy. Give me a second. Why I cannot hear you? Let me see. Yeah. Okay. So that's actually part of microeconomics. Then if you talk about, let's say, mining industry of Australia, that's also part of microeconomics. Why it is microeconomics? We are still talking about the whole economy of the country. No, we are talking about one specific industry of the country. We're talking about one specific industry of the country. We are not talking about the all economy. No, we are not. Okay. We're talking about one specific industry of the country. So this is a part of macroeconomics. Now, here are some information about the Australian macroeconomics. Okay. It says the GDP. What is GDP? We'll talk about it. But for now, I'll tell you in very briefly. GDP is the gross domestic product, which means the market value of all production of a country. This is the market value of all final goods and services produced within a country in a given period of time. Okay, this is known as GDP. The next is Australia expanded 0.3% in March over the, okay. This is talking about the investment of this country and GDP annual growth rate in Australia. What is GDP annual growth rate in Australia? About 0.6%. I think I should show you guys the latest information about it. This may not have all the proper information. Okay. I'll show you guys in here. World Bank data. You go into World Bank data. You will find data bank. Okay, that's World Bank database. So let's say I want to show you here GDP Australia, for example, is showing you here 1.39 trillion USD in 2019, Australian GDP. Okay, so GDP growth, annual growth rate in Australia. Actually, here I can show from here as well. So if I go in, let's put it this place, all development indicators. Okay, so country, if I choose, not all of them, I need just Australia, for example, just Australia, and I need the time. For example, latest I want to get 2019 data is most updated, I believe, so far. Other database is not much updated. Series is, let's say, yeah. Okay, GDP constant. Yeah. So that's Australian GDP 2019. 1.450 is Australian GDP. Okay, let's see that here. Then if you want to know about GDP growth rate, here it is, GDP growth rate. Then GDP per capita income, GDP per capita constant rate. What is constant? What is what is current? We'll talk about that as well. Don't worry. So see that GDP growth rate is 2.2% annual. Then GDP per capita constant is $57,000. Then GDP per capita growth. How much is that about Australia? 0.6% GDP per capita growth. So you guys might ask me questions. What does these things mean actually? Well, we need to understand it slowly. One by one, we'll talk about it, not everything in one go. And let's check about unemployment rate. Unemployment, female, male. Where is unemployment? I just want only the unemployment rate, not all these details. Unemployment. Unemployment is advanced education, female. This unemployment is basic. Unemployment total percentage labor force. This is one of them. You can say unemployment total percentage labor force, a national estimate. These two, I will take it. Unemployment total unemployment rate is 5.2%. And what else you need to know? Inflation rate. That's interesting to know. Inflation rate. On GDP and GDP deflator, both of them I'll show you. Unemployment or CPI rate. Okay. So these are the different things. So let's put them according to, okay. GDP, inflation, unemployment, yeah. So okay, what about population? Let's check the population too. Australian population. I need just the population. I don't need all these things. Okay, here we go. People. Population ages 0 to 4, female, male. I just need simple population. Gosh, there's a lot of information they have here. I need just the population. Where is that? Oh, gosh. Population growth, population density, no. Population total. Apply. Population male. Where is population female? Apply. Okay, so population is 25 million and 365. That's the population we have. Okay. And what else we need to know? Yeah, these are the basic things we need to know about a country's economy, okay? And sometimes people want to know about the area of a country as well. So these are the basic things the country would like to know. So our GDP, 2017, I showed you the latest one. 0.3% in March, okay. Annual growth rate, we showed you Australian economy is dominated. Oh, okay. So what are the service sectors? Different sectors, okay. Which sectors actually Australia having more? So these information you will not find, may not find in World Bank data. You'll find this information maybe in CIA website. So let's check with CIA website. CIA fact sheet, we call that. Fact sheet Australia. Okay. Okay. Okay, so Australia, the World Fact Sheet, CIA website. From here, you can see that. Come on. Okay. Australia CIA fact sheet. I want to know about the country's economy. So here is the economy. Okay, GDP growth rate 1.84 2019, 2018 2.77, 2045 2.45 2017. Inflation rate is there, credit ratings are there, GDP is given here. GDP per capita, 57 actually. Okay, here it is. Agriculture 3.6%, industry 25.3%, service 71.2%. So the 71.2% is the GDP percentage. The percentage of total GDP in Australia is 71.2%. Okay. And what else we have? Yeah, these are the basic things you need to know about a country, like what is their GDP, what is the per capita income, what are their GDP growth rate, what is their population, what percentage. This is called GDP. We call the GDP composition. We call that GDP composition. It is about agriculture, manufacturing industry, and service sector. Three things we look at. Okay. Then, okay. So it's showing you here that what is the situation of a country comparing to other countries of the world. Australian economy, how far is Australian economy here? So if you want to talk about that part, then let's go in this way. You can find these things in World Fact Sheet as well in here, but here, so this one is country composition in the world is 30. If you talk about real GDP per capita is 30, and I want to see actually real GDP in, okay, real purchasing power per is 19 of the world. So our ranking is number 19 of the world, but I will show you a way better way how the GDP situation is of Australia comparison to other world. So you go for World Bank real GDP data. Okay, real GDP data. How what's the situation we have? GDP, not the current I'm looking for. Not Australia, I'm looking for. Okay, let's see this current. From current, I'll take you to the constant. That's exactly I need. The GDP constant 2010 US dollar. That's what I need. Okay, so now if you notice in here, so all countries of the world, so 2019 data they have given here, the most recent year they have. So if you click on here, most recent values, you'll see which country got the highest. It's USA, then China, that's what I know. The number one is USA, and second is China, and Japan, Germany, France, India, United Kingdom, Brazil, Italy, Canada, see? Spain, Australia is here. So you can see which number is Australia. Okay. These countries actually grow more than Australia: Korea, Spain, Russia, Canada, Italy, Brazil, United Kingdom, India. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Number 14, 15 of the world. Okay. So USA is actually 18.3, Canada, China is 11, Japan is 6. So you can see they're very high. 6, 12, 18. So it's like double, triple each of these countries. They're very big, and USA is, well, US is too high. 6 trillion is too much. $18 trillion. China is $11 trillion. All right. So that's how they are showing you here a composition of what the other countries are doing of the total economy. So first is USA, then China, Japan, Germany, UK, France, India, Brazil, Italy, the same way. Australia is in here, number 13. Now this is of 2017 data. Now I showed you of 2019 data is number 14 now, Australia. Okay, so now what is GDP per capita? That's a very interesting thing. GDP per capita is this, that let's say how much a country produces in total. Let's say Australia produces $1.6 trillion. Okay, let me tell you the exact figure. So Australian GDP, $1.45 trillion in 2019. Okay, $1.45 trillion in 2019. And this is which is number 14th of the world. Now, the thing is this, that this is the total GDP of a country. They produce this real GDP. If you divide the real GDP by population, then you know how much each citizen has produced or consumed. It will be the same. How much each citizen have produced. So that's what is your GDP per capita. That if you divide the GDP by population, if you divide GDP by population, you will get the GDP per capita. It means GDP per person. Okay, GDP per person. All right. Then GDP per capita growth, how much is growing every year. This is growing by 0.6% in Australia. It's growing every year by 0.6% every year. Now, currently, you can see in Australia, every person is consuming $57,183,000. Okay, that's 80% consuming every year. All right. This one is giving me a little hard time. Can I actually? Yeah, that's better. This is better. Yeah, this is better. Yeah, perfect now. All right, and Australia ranked in terms of GDP per capita in 2017. In terms of US, Luxembourg has the highest. Okay, so when you talk about GDP per capita tells you also about a country's standard of living. So if you talk about what is standard of living of a country, it is calculated by GDP per capita, real GDP per capita. Now, you can ask me a question, well, Muhammad, every time you're talking about real GDP, what does real GDP mean actually? Well, that's an interesting question. What does real GDP mean? Look, first you have to learn about how do you calculate GDP. First, you have to learn how do you calculate GDP. So GDP is calculated by multiplying price and quantity of each item that's being produced within the country. In a country, how much a country is producing every year, that is GDP, the market value of this product, of finished goods. So GDP means that the market value of all the finished goods produced by a country within a period of time. Okay? GDP is the market value of all the finished goods produced within a country within a given period of time. Now, some of you get surprised. Oh, seriously? Every single year, how much you're producing, everything needs to be recorded? Yes, we do. And who does these things for us? Australian Bureau of Statistics, they does these things. Okay, and it's not that tough. Don't think it's very tough. How much we're selling, how do we know? We know. How does the government know? Government knows these things because they're getting the taxes. Government knows these things because when people are actually claiming the GST, government knows how much goods and service tax is being paid. 10% of GDP, right? 10% of the then next is so here it shows economic resilience, real GDP growth 1992 to 2014. So here they're showing you that which countries produced how much. Okay, from 1990 to 2014 during this time period. So this is developed country, this is developing economy, this is developed economy. So how much they produce is a comparison in here. All right. Global economic outlook. Okay, so here is a graph for Australian real GDP, Australian GDP. Okay, so now let me show you that about how do you calculate the real GDP. So I have to make a chart in here. Yeah, for example, let's say in a country is producing only, let's say, noodles, and they are producing noodles and let's say and bread. That's all they produce in a country. So here is the price for noodles, and here is the quantity for noodles. Here is the price for bread. Here is the quantity for bread. Okay. So we are calculating here, let's say 2000 and let's say 8, 2009, 2010, 2011. Let's say here 2012. Okay. Price, let's say here the price is noodles is $2. Here the price of noodles is, let's say, $2.50. Here the price of noodles is, let's say, $2.75. And then this is let's say $3. Okay, $3. And here let's say 3.50. Quantity they are producing is, let's say, noodles they're producing 12 pack. Here they're producing 15 pack. Here they're 11 pack, 16 pack, and let's say 17 pack they produce. Okay. For the price for bread, for example, let's say bread is $1.50, and here bread is, let's say, $1.75 next year. Bread is, let's say, $2. Here, so bread is $2.50. Here the bread is $3. Okay. And the quantity of bread they are producing is, let's say, 15, 20, 18, 17, let's say here 90. That's the quantity they are producing. Okay. Now we need to calculate how much is their GDP. Okay. Oh, doesn't have auto fit. All right. Okay. So now we are going to open another column to the next. So here is our GDP. How much will be GDP? So you have to calculate price into quantity of noodles, price multiplied by quantity, plus bread will be the same. So let's take them into Excel spreadsheet. You can calculate it better from there. Okay. Okay. So now how much will be GDP here? This one will be equal to this multiplied by this in a bracket plus this multiplied by this. Okay, another bracket here. The whole thing is, let's put whole thing is another bracket. So this is the GDP of a country. Okay, this is the GDP of a country. You can see here 46, 72, 62, 90, 116. So that's the GDP, real GDP of the GDP of a country. Which GDP is this one? We call that one as nominal GDP. This is called nominal GDP. Now we have to calculate the real GDP. So how did you calculate nominal GDP? Nominal GDP is very straightforward and simple. You multiply the price into quantity of each item being produced. That's how you calculate nominal GDP. But real GDP is a bit different. Real GDP is calculated based on a constant year of price. How do they mean? They mean this way. Look at this. This will be equal to, actually I will take this thing the same way. What? CD E3. No. This is not right. Okay, so this one should be equal to price. Should be equal to, let's say we want to take 2007, 2010 as our base year. Insert. Okay, I can actually make a different color. That would be okay. Control this. So let's say this is our base year. Okay, 2010 is our base year. Okay, so now how do we calculate our real GDP? Real GDP is calculated this way. Will be equal to, price will be the same for every year, which is known as base year, which is 2010 in our case. 2010 in our base year. Here I should write down year. Here I should write down year. Okay. So now real GDP will be equal to this multiplied by quantity of this year. Okay. Plus same. Price for bread is this year multiplied by quantity is this year. That's how you calculate real GDP. This is our real GDP. I don't think it will work that way. No, it should be always B6. Nah. To do the same thing every year, you have to put a dollar sign in front of it, and it will have to be B5. B5. Yes. And here it will be actually D5. So you put a dollar sign in front of it, D5. Okay. That's the way to calculate. And this one, C5, not C5, it should be E5. Okay, B6. No, it should be B5 actually. B5 should be D5. All right, 66. Yeah, 5. B5. And here it should be D5. B5, C6. What about this here? Again, B5. Again here, 5. Yeah. So this is our real GDP. B5, C3, E3. B5, C4, E4. B5, 5. 5, C6, E6. Yeah, so this is a real GDP. When you calculate the real GDP, that time you have to remember that price will remain the same for every year. Okay, but for nominal GDP, price will be for current year. It means every year you calculate, you multiply the quantity with the current year's price. That's why we call that current. You'll see that's why they call it current. Okay, now I'll show you here. Have a look in here. So you can see that. Okay, let's go in here. See, look, GDP current. Current means this is nominal. And what we are showing here, constant. It means they multiplied when they calculated the GDP here. They used 2010 as the constant year. This is real GDP, constant year. And GDP current means nominal GDP. Okay. So that's the way you calculate nominal and real GDP. All right. Now, real GDP will tell you actually how much the country really produced, but nominal GDP will have different. Look at here, the production has reduced in here, 12 and 18. See? So in this country, I gave an example. In this country, the production of noodles was 2009 was 15 and bread was 20. Now look, 2010, quantity has gone down. Right? Quantity has gone down. The GDP also is 66.25. That's also here also 66.25 as well. Now in this case here, look, let's say in this case, quantity is 16, quantity is 7. It's actually not much increase, but look, it increased a lot. Now if you compare these things with 16, 17, 17, 19, not much increase, but it is showing a lot. The problem is this, that when there is inflation within the country, that time that increased price may show you a bigger picture of the country, but it's not actually true. For example, I'll show you now here. Have a look. If I change these things, let's say that here, this is, let's say, 12. This is, let's say, 19. Okay. Now look at here. Production has decreased, 12 to 11, 19 to 18. See, production has decreased, but look, GDP showing it has an increase. See, nominal GDP. But real GDP, it show you really production has decreased. That's the difference in nominal and real GDP. Now notice in 2019, in this country, the production for noodles was 12 and bread was 19. For 2010, noodles production has gone down to 11 and bread production has gone down to 18. So production has went down. But look at nominal GDP, it will show you, oh my God, look, GDP has increased 63.25 to 66.25. So it means $3 GDP has increased. Why is showing it increasing? It's showing increased because the price is high, that's why. But in real figure, in real production, the quantity of the items has gone down, not increased. But if you notice at the real GDP, it will show the real one. Because here we are not considering the increased price. All the time you're considering the same price. 2.75 is the price for noodles and bread. Now you check how much is produced and which year. That's how you will see the real picture you can see from real GDP. Does it make sense, guys?
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, so that's the difference between nominal and real GDP. Okay, that's very important to understand this one. So now you understand why I talk about real GDP all the time. Here, Australian GDP, you see, 2008, you can see here at the bottom, I think I should show it with annotations, otherwise you guys will not see which one I'm referring to. Now you can see, look at the red spot, 2010 quarter 3, 2008, look, 8 quarter 1, quarter 2, 2009, quarter 1, quarter 3. So look at this, the income has gone down. Australian GDP has went down negative. Do you know which year was that? Global financial crisis we had in 2008, 9 and 10 that year. 8 and 9 that year. Australian GDP has went down. So what is Australian economy made of? Australian employment and output. Okay. Healthcare, social assistance, retail, construction, manufacturing, financial institutions, mining, electricity, gas, water services. These are the places where people are more employed, and the output is also good. Okay. So red one shows you their production, and yellow line shows you their employment. The healthcare has lots of employment, but production is not that high. But in these one, financial and insurance, employment is not high, but production is very high. Mining the same, employment is low, but production is very high. Construction, employment, production is same, almost similar. Manufacturing the same, employment and production is almost similar. Okay, yeah. Sectoral composition, it tells you about like what percentage of people are being recruited. So service sector has a 58% people is recruited in service sector, and which is actually in industry share of output key sectors. Okay, it's about the GDP. So service sector is giving us 58% of our GDP. Retail trade is giving us 5%, mining giving 7%, manufacturing 7%, construction 9%, like this. Okay, I have already discussed these things. Okay, so what does a country want to see in their economy? A country always wants to see there is a high GDP. Okay, there is a higher GDP, fast growth rate, low unemployment, low or zero inflation, a balanced budget or surplus budget, and balance of payment should be surplus, a stable exchange rate. That's what they want to see. A country wants to see that they have a high GDP, low unemployment, low inflation, budget is also surplus or balanced budget. It means there is no surplus. Balance is always the target, at least. They can actually go for surplus too, but deficit is not the one that we're expecting. Balance of payment actually tells you about the relationship with other countries. To other countries, we owe money or they owe us money. That's what they shows in balance of payment. Surplus, zero foreign debts, stable exchange rate. That is also that's what is our target to maintain. then we call this is a good country, good economy. How do they maintain these things? They does these things through fiscal policies and monetary policy. What is monetary policy? Monetary policy is actually mainly the money supply and interest rate is the monetary policy. They use interest rate and money supply. That's the monetary policy. Fiscal policy, government income and expenditure. Government income and expenditure is the fiscal policies. Okay, government expenditure and taxes. Government expenditure, expenses, and taxes, the income. So government income and expenditure is the fiscal policy. A monetary policy is about the money supply and interest rate. Okay, so these two things they use mainly. Then they have other things like industrial relation policies, employment policies, foreign economic policies, macroeconomic reformation, deregulation, privatization. These are different other things that government use these different types of instrument to achieve these targets. Okay, what are the targets? Higher GDP, low unemployment, zero inflation, balanced budget, balance of payment is zero, stable exchange rate. That's what they want to see. Okay, conflicting objectives. Of course, they have conflicting objectives. We want to see a decreasing inflation rate. Decreasing inflation rate will increase the unemployment. That's another problem. We want low unemployment, also and low zero inflation. Look, when there is an employment, higher employment, there will be inflation. The more people is working within the industry, price will increase of the goods. You can ask me, how come? How? Because when you have more money in your pocket, more money in your wallet, you will be spending more. It's simple. Human psychology. You have every single day, you have $300, $200 income. Do you worry about $2, $3 bread? No. You worry about a $3, $4 coffee? No, you don't worry about these things. As a result, you're spending more, you don't bargain. And the retail industries, they increase the price slowly. The decreasing budget deficit may lead to increased unemployment. Again, if you talk about, if you want to decrease the budget deficit, you want to decrease the deficit, you want to increase a surplus in the budget, you will find there's unemployment. Okay, so when you see the people will see that the government is putting taxes on them, a lot of taxes they're putting, they will get discouraged to work. Very simple. Improving the balance of payment by decreasing aggregate demand and hence import, maybe at the cost of higher unemployment. Again, if you have import, if you want to decrease the import, you will have unemployment too. So there are some things that you like. That's why normally we have like 5% unemployment is also known as 100% employment, 94% employment, which means 100% full employment, we call that. I have already showed you this one. GDP refers to the market value of all final goods and services produced in the economy during a specific period of time. And what GDP do not count, that's very important to know. GDP do not count illegal activities. GDP do not count anything which is produced within home. GDP do not count non-market goods and services, household and home goods. I already told that one. GDP do not count on underground economy, illegal money, these things, no. GDP will not count unpaid work. Let's say you work for your father or you work for your mother. Okay, then they do not pay you. You went to home and your dad said, okay, mow the lawn, or your mom said, do this work for me. You did it. Okay, you cook something, for example. Okay, your mom said, John, go and cook the pasta. You cook the pasta, and she paid you nothing. Then what happens? You get nothing. It's not a part of GDP, but you produce something. If you have done the same work in a restaurant as a chef or something, yes, you get paid for that. Clean the dish. Okay, you clean the dish, nobody paid you. But if you do the dish cleaning in a restaurant, they pay you. So you are doing unpaid work. That's not part of GDP. Then spending time with your family. That's a good thing. That's a good product, good activity. But a lot of people, it has a very big debate on this. A lot of people think, oh, spending time, how come it is producing something? It produces emotional products. When you are spending time with your family, you are in good mood. When you are in good mood, it means you will be working better, it will increase your productivity. If you have a fight with your partner, for example, you had a big fight with your girlfriend or boyfriend, can you work properly at work? Your production will decrease. Your productivity will go down. It's simple. Okay? For example, your parents are sick, or your grandmother is sick, or your children is sick. Your productivity will fall. There's a paternal or maternity leave is very important for human productivity of a country. Then you produce something and pollute the environment. GDP don't care about it. So there are some loopholes in GDP calculation as well. Okay. You produce something, but halfway through, not counted in GDP. It will need to be finished goods. Okay. Second-hand goods is also not part of GDP as well. Okay. All right. What is this one here? Aggregation problem. How do you add up things? In macroeconomic, aggregation is done by use, not by characteristics of goods or services. Since we cannot add together disparate goods like apples and cars, we use their prices to work out total value expenditure on goods and services. Exogenous variables, because variables outside the model that affect the model but not affected by the variables in the model. Okay, let's talk this one later on. It's not very urgent at this moment. We'll talk about it later. Nominal GDP, real GDP, I have already done that. Okay. Now, this one is about dynamic economy. That's talking about there are two different types of school of thoughts in here. One is called the Keynesian economy. Keynesian one economy is unstable and government intervention is necessary, broken glass window fallacy. And the neoclassical thought says economy is stable and reaches full employment automatically. No government intervention is necessary. So there is two different types of school of thought we have. One is Keynesian thought, another one is neoclassical thought. Okay, just to keep it in mind in this one. Two different school of thought in economics. Okay, what are the two of them? One is Keynesian, another one is classical or neoclassical or monetarist view. Okay, so Keynesian one thinks that government needs to interfere. The neoclassical thing, they think that no, government don't need to interfere. Economy will be fixed by itself. Nobody need to do anything. Okay. Now we'll talk about economic model. Before we talk economic model, I think did they have it? Yeah, here is economic model. Now, before we go into economic model, we'll talk about what is production possibility frontier. Production possibility for this graph is very important to understand here. Production possibility, this graph, this you see the orange line, this curve is known as production possibility, curve or production possibility frontier, we call this curve. What does this curve means? This curve tells you that, this curve will tell you that how much a country can produce using all of its resources. How much a country can produce using all of it. So it says that it shows you about a combination. Let's say a country can produce only two items, product A and product B. Two items it can produce only, product A and product B. Let's say noodles and bread. Okay. So if they produce only product A, they can produce this much. Okay. If they produce product B, they can produce this much only. Okay. Now the country says, no, we want to produce both of them. when they say they want to produce both of them, there needs to be a combination is required. What the combination is, they can produce at any point within this line, within this orange line. They can produce at A, they can produce at B, they can produce at C, any point they can produce. And when they produce A, B, and C, we mean that they are producing at efficient level of scale. And this production is done by using all of their resources. Okay. So now let's talk about another thing in here. If the country is producing at point A, okay, then they are producing this much of product A and this much of product B. If the country thinks, no, I want to increase the production of product B. If you want to increase the product of production B, then you have to reduce the production of product A. Does that make sense, guys? If you want to increase the production of product B, you have to reduce the product of production A. Okay, reduce the production of product A. It needs to be reduced. Now you say, no, I want to increase more of product B. You want to increase more of product B, increase more of product B, but a product A, production of product A will also decrease again. Okay. Like your resources are limited. So if you want to increase the production of one product, you have to decrease the production of another product. Okay, so that's all I can tell you here. Now the question come up: can you produce at combination of Y? Can you produce at Y? No, you cannot. Production of Y is not possible because you don't have resources to produce Y. Now, next question: can you production at point X? Yes, you can do production X, but which means that you're producing this much of product A and this much of product B, but whereas you could produce more. You see that? It means you are inefficient. You are not efficient in production. You're inefficient in production. You're wasting your resources. Okay, that's how they mean here. All right. Next, we'll talk about circular flow of model. Very interesting, this one. Okay, very interesting. In this one, okay, let's put it this way. Okay, this one looks very complicated, but I'll try to make it slow. Two parties are involved in an economy. What are the two parties? Household and farms. Two parties are involved. But before I go talk about this one, I want to ask you one question. I want you guys to really answer me honestly. Okay. Who owns the Opera House? Who owns the roads? Who owns the bridges? Harbor Bridge? Who owns Anzac Bridge? Who owns this Centennial Park? Say again.
Government.
Government. Anybody else want to say anything?
The public?
Citizens.
Public. Citizens. Who said citizens?
Me.
I can't see your name here. Is it Huiduan or Ayana?
Anaya.
Anaya Hussein. You know what? How many kangaroos do we have in Australia? Do you know that? Do you guys know how many kangaroos we have in Australia?
20 million.
50 million.
50 million kangaroos in Australia.
We each get 2.
Yes. You own 2 kangaroos, really. So every Australian citizen owns 2 kangaroos. So now all these items that we just discussed, Opera House, bridge, road, culvert, dams, then Centennial Park, all these ducks, swans, kangaroos, then deer is owned by citizens. You are the owner. You owns these things, not Scott Morrison. No, he doesn't own anything. He owns only 2 kangaroos. Nothing much. Okay. So now, who they are actually? Who are this government actually then? Since we are not able to make a combined decision by all the people of the country. Right now, if I give you, how many students do I have in the class? I have 15 students in my class right now. So if I give you now $300, this $300 is for your dinner. What do you think we're gonna have? We're gonna have a dinner? No, we'll not have a dinner, we have a fight. What fight are you gonna have? What are you gonna eat? Thi Hui Duan will say, I want to have some rice and sushi. Riley will say, I want some steak. And I will say, I want some kebab. Iman Abdullah will say, I want some tabbouleh. Big fight. What do? We manage, we actually let 2 or 3 people take over. You guys decide what we're gonna have. It's not only one day. It's for our next 3 years. And we decided these 3 people will make a choice for us. Here is our $300, and we decide what we're gonna eat. All right? So who owns this $300? All of you, citizens. Who are these 3 people? They got the responsibility just to manage this $300. Nothing else. All the resources that we have within this country is owned by the citizens. Who the government is? Government is the manager. Scott Morrison's job is to manage this money, manage these resources, so that everybody gets the best out of it. He needs to make the decision. The $300 I gave you, now which shop to buy, how many pizza to buy, or how many whatever sushi you buy, okay, or pizza you buy, or bread you buy, whatever you decide, guys, to buy. These 3 people will make this decision. Where to buy, how much to pay, how much to save, that's their choice. They have that full right to do that, but they do not have right to steal a single penny from there. So every 3 years, different group of people comes in front of you with a job application. May I get the job to manage your money, please? I should have said the word money. Manage your resources, please. Okay, Anaya Hussain, Hussaini, Rayleigh Campbell, Thi Hui Duan, and who else in my class? Anyway, all of you, you guys, Hai Hua Huang, Eman Abdullah, Xingyan Lee, Omar, Jeremy Chanel, Jonathan Chen, you all will decide who will be managing your resources. Make sense? That's why the party comes up. Last year, Bill Shorten came, and who was that? Malcolm Turnbull, I think. These 2 came up to you. Oh, sorry, Scott Morrison was last time. Scott Morrison came up. Before that, it was Tony Abbott, Malcolm Turnbull, I think, came up. Yeah, or Tony Abbott came up. Yeah. So yes, next year also someone else will come up to you for a job. Every party is one job application to you. Recruit us, recruit us, recruit us. And they will try to tell you what they want to do for you if you elect them. Give them the job, I should say that. Okay? So don't think government owns everything. No, it's you own everything. Their job is to manage your money properly. Now you can understand it better. So all the resources that you have within the country is owned by the public, which is household. Now look at the diagram, it's household. Farms are the business. Farm business don't want own anything. You own, people, citizens own, not the business owns anything of the country. So let's say the country is barren land. There's nothing in the country. What the citizens does, household does, they give their land, labor, and capital to the farm. Why they give these things to the farm? Because to produce any single thing, to produce anything you say, is needed three basic things: land, labor, and capital, and a management. Four things you will need: land, labor, capital, and management. Four things. All right, you need these four things. Who owns these four things? Citizens own these four things: land, labor, capital, and management. Four things you need. So three things we say normally. Management always comes up anyway. People are the management, so it's not a big issue here. So these things are owned by the citizen, because citizens don't own the management. Management is created. That's why these things are not here. So they give these things to the farm. What does the farm give them in return? Farm actually, look at here, farm actually giving them the money in return for these things. For land, the farm will give them the rent. For labor, the farm will give them the wages. For capital, farm will give them the interest. Okay. For management, farm will give them the income. Okay. That's what they will give them in return. Now look at after the first stage, what does the farm has? Farm has land, labor, and capital, and the household has the money. Are you guys with me?
Yep.
Cool. Now, the thing is, farms is, look at here, farms is using those land, labor, and capital, and they're producing goods and services. And who has the money now? Citizen has the money. Now, farm is offering those goods and services to the public. What they're offering to them? Oh, I have a nice shirt. Do you like to buy the shirt from me? See that? I have some nice Coca-Cola. I produce some Coca-Cola. Do you want to buy Coca-Cola? I have some nice avocado. Do you want to buy it? I produce some beautiful cake. Farm produce these things. They're offering to the public. What the public is getting now? Public is buying goods and services, and they're giving the money to back to the farm. Make sense? This is called circular flow of income. Okay. Now the question comes up: do you really think people actually use all their money on these things? No, people don't. They save the money. Where do they save? They save in bank. Okay? The people are saving money into the bank, and the bank again giving this money to the farm for investment. Make sense? At the same time, look at government is, you can see the government in the middle here. Government is in here. Okay? The household is giving tax to the government. In return, government is giving household. What the government is giving them? Public goods. Central link money if they're unemployed. Again, the farm is giving tax to the government. What the government is giving them in return? Good roads. They can carry the goods. Government is giving them a good law enforcement agency. Government is giving them subsidies when the farm is in problem. Like in COVID time, government give lots of money to the business, you see. The stimulus package is given. JobKeeper money has been given to them. The government has given them. That's the government's role in there. Now let's talk about the upper part. What is the upper part? Do you think that people only buys from within the country? No. People buy from abroad, French wine. They buy Chanel, perfume, cologne. Hmm? They buy American jeans, buy Italian shoes, Italian dresses, foreign things. Huh? They buy lots of Chinese items too. And then as a result, what happens? Some money goes to the overseas because they're importing these items. At the same time, Australia also export and bring that money back. What Australia export? Australia export their cattle. Australia export their coals. Australia exporting camels to Middle East. I was surprised to see that. How come? I always thought Middle East has all the camels of the world. No, Australia actually export camel to Middle East. Then again, lots of Australian actresses goes to Hollywood and they act in there and bring money to the country too. See, have the export import coming. Make sense, guys? There is always a balance in there. This is called circular flow of income. It's just keep on circulating. What goes in, just comes in. If the Australian government is not exporting enough for the import, Australian government is in debt. Not debt, balance of payment will be negative. If the Australian government cannot invest money as much as its savings, there will be idle money in the bank. Simple. Okay, let's move on. I already just discussed this circular flow of income. Yeah, they're showing you here slowly. See, saving, tax, and import. That's the way the money is withdrawn from the flow. And again, that money coming back. Savings come as an investment. Tax come back as government expenditure. Import comes back as an export. That's the whole thing. Oh, GDP already discussed these things. How the GDP is being measured. That's very important here. C plus I plus G plus X minus M. That's very important. GDP is measured in 3 ways. Income, expenditure, that's the main 2 with them, and the output method, 3 methods we call them. Okay. What you are earning, what your income, that's what is your expenditure. Okay. That's the main concept of this GDP. Income will be your expenditure. So C is consumer expenditure, I for investment, the private firms, how much they're investing, like buying different types of goods, different types of machineries, equipment, tools, that's investment. Private firms investment, okay, don't think about government investment. No, government investment is different thing. Government expenditure is there. Government never invests, government spend the money of the citizens, taxpayers' money they spend, that government expenditure. Plus export minus import. So if you add these 385 things together, you get the GDP of a country. So when you use consumer expenditure, consumer expenses, investment expenses, government expenditure, plus export, minus import, these 5 things will be known as expenditure approach. Okay? So here you're talking here about in which year, how much the government has exported or imported these things. The gross domestic product is how much. Okay. Now, economic growth. So economic growth is defined as increase in the output that an economy produces over a period of time. So how much the country has produced last year, how the country has produced this year. Okay, when you percentage of these things, or you can percentage change, that's the growth of an economy. Okay, that's the economic growth. Actual growth, the percentage in annual increase in country's real domestic product. You see, the actual growth is calculated using real domestic product. See that now? Where you use the real GDP, that's the actual one. Potential growth, it means in the long run, how much a country can do, the potentiality. The potential growth. Potential output, using all the resources, how much a country can produce, that's potential output. using all the resources, how much a country can produce. Okay, and there are 4 phases. Now we'll talk about business cycle. There are 4 phases in business cycle: upturn, expansion, peaking out, and slow down. This is the thing is of business. Everybody will have this. This is normal. Everybody will go through these 4 phases. This is normal. There's nothing wrong in there. It's okay to go through like this. This is the thing. Business will have up and down. Okay, now you see, it's going down, going up again, going down. This is the peak. Okay, this is the peak, going down again, again going up, again going down. It's normal. It's normal. It's normal. It's nothing wrong. Business is going through some bad time now. No need to worry. It will be picking up again. It's normal. It will always be there. Okay, upturn, expansion, picking out, slow down. Look, this is the thing: upturn, going up, upturn, and after this dotted red line is picking up. Expansion and picking. Expansion, I'll say expansion here. Expansion, that's the peak. After peak, you slow down, go down again. Again, it will go up. So that's the normal. It will always keep on going like this. Okay. A business cycle, yes. So look, downtrend, draw, uptrend, downtrend, uptrend. That's how we go all the time. It's normal. Okay. So peak time is called boom. Going down is slump. Going really down to the bottom one is called recession. Again, they recovery. Again, they have boom. Again, they go down, slump. Again, the recession. That's what they do. Okay, normal. I think we have almost done. Okay, now the unemployment. We'll talk about unemployment. I think then this is done, I believe. Yeah, unemployment is the last point. Yeah, let's go for unemployment, and that's it. Unemployment. So what is unemployment? An unemployed person is classified as someone aged over 15 years of age, actively looking for a job but not finding one. Actively looking for a job, but they're not finding one. That's the thing, is your unemployment, we call them. You're looking for a job, but you're not finding one job. Unemployed person. The 4 different types of unemployment we have: frictional, structural, cyclical, and classical unemployment. 4 of them. Okay. Frictional one, when you are in a job, but you're looking for another job. Within the gap, one job to another job. Okay, so in between jobs, like seasonal workers voluntarily switching jobs from one job to another job. This is frictional unemployment. That is job who has job skills but are not temporarily unemployed for some reasons, but looking for a job at this moment. Frictional unemployment. Structural unemployment refers to the unemployed workers whose skills are no longer needed, who needs to be retrained due to structural change in the economy. Now look, there are a lot of people who doesn't know how to work with Zoom. They will be unemployed now because it's COVID time. We need some people to work with Zoom. There are a lot of people you'll find who is a little bit aged and they don't know how to, they're not very confident in working with computer, IT. Okay, those people will have some little bit problem. Structural unemployment. Business is being changed. Everything now with mobile phone, iPad, a gadget they use in every way. Okay, that's structural unemployment. That they need to be trained. But if you train them, they'll be fine after training. They'll be coming back into the job after training. That's unemployment. Cyclical unemployment. But the business cycle, the business is going down. Okay, business has gone down, but they are not, at the business has gone down, they are not recruiting staff, recruiting people. Okay, that will be known as cyclical unemployment. Okay. Otherwise, seasonal, that also falls under frictional as well. So these are the different, these are the main, 3 are the mains, actually, these 3 are the mains. Full unemployment means occurs when all unemployment is frictional, seasonal, or no cyclical unemployment. There is no unemployment in the country. That's full employment, we call them. Okay, it doesn't work like this actually. Another one, unemployment rate. How do you calculate unemployment rate? Unemployment rate is calculated unemployed people divided by number of labor force, not population. Okay, remember this one. Unemployed divided by labor force. Labor force is calculated using employed and unemployed people together. Okay, that's number one. Unemployment rate we calculate this way. Okay, and hidden unemployment, when members of the labor force become discouraged at not finding work and drop out. So actively looking for job, when you talk about actively looking for job, it means that for the last 4 weeks you are looking for the job actively, but you could not find a job. That is known as unemployed. But there are a lot of people after 2-3 weeks, they said, oh no, I'm not finding a job. They will just get discouraged and don't want to work anymore. These are known as those people with hidden unemployment. Fluctuation in hidden unemployment can be seen in participation rate. So how do you calculate the participation rate? Labor force divided by civilian population. How many people, how much people is participating in the labor force? That's participation rate, we call them. Okay. Okay, now let's talk about inflation and deflation. Inflation is that the average price level of the economy went high. There is a rise in the average price level of the economy. That's called inflation. Deflation is fall in the average price level of the economy. That is deflation. How do you calculate that? Consumer price index. As I told you, every single day, the people in Australian Bureau of Statistics, they are actually checking the prices of the goods and services, and they're making a notes on it. So how do they actually do that? Here is the way. Price for current year minus price of base year divided by price of base year. So which base one? They take 1 year as base. I think recently the base year is 2015, the base year now. So government changes this base year every 5 years, 6 years later, they change the base year. Okay, so now the current base year I think is 2015. Okay, so price in current year 2021 price minus price in 2015 divided by price in 2015 multiplied by 100. That's the way they calculate the rate of inflation. And what is GDP deflation? GDP deflator will tell you about the difference, the ratio of nominal and real GDP multiplied by 100. This is also used to calculate our inflation rate. And GDP deflator is the correct, very accurate one, but we normally use the CPI one. Okay. This one is CPI based, the first one. Okay. So what are the causes of inflation? Inflation actually creates problem within the country. Right? The first problem is a redistribution problem, balance of payment problem. People will be, when the price of things goes high, people are discouraged to purchase. When people do not purchase, then again, the business will be in problem. The sales is gone down, profit will be going down as well. So that's the problem we have mainly. Okay, I think I'll stop it in here then. Any questions for me, guys, so far?
No.
All right. If you have no questions, then I will go and do your attendance now. Dropbox login. How is your assignment going, guys?
Yeah, I think I'm finished, but I'm not sure if it's done properly.
Okay. So I think next week, I will see how many people does, and maybe I will open the link for submission by next week. Oh, I have to remove these things. Okay, I have to take it off. Oh wow, why I cannot use it? Huh? Mm. Allah, done. Mm. Mm. Okay. Yeah, I think I can use it now. Okay, guys, ready? Iman Abdullah,
Here.
thank you. Why I can't see this Y here? Yeah, it's there. Okay, fine. It's just slow. Umar Ahmed,
Yes, sir.
thank you very much. Next, Jonathan Chan,
Yes, sir.
thank you. Then next, Thi Hui Duan,
Yes, sir.
thank you very much. Nicola Donilan, Nicola, no. This is Syed Gilani,
Yes, sir.
thank you very much. It's Haihua Huang,
Yes,
Haihua,
sir.
thank you very much, Haihua. Anayat Ullah Hussaini,
Yeah.
thank you. Riley Campbell,
Yes, sir. Thank you.
very much. Brianna Kha, Brianna, no. Ihan Lee,
Yes, sir.
thank you very much. Jaden Maya Harris, no. Mary and Kyla Manawis,
Yes, sir.
thank you very much, Mary. Mai Tu Vai Nguyen, Mai, no. Okay, Hugo Parsons, Hugo, no. Jianao Chen, Jianao, no. Jeremy Chanel,
Here, sir.
thank you very much, Jeremy. Murad Shalem,
Yes, sir.
thank you very much. It's John Trobas,
Yes, sir.
thank you very much, John. Aaron Wu, Aaron, you there? No. Ji Zheng Jakishi, Ji Zheng Jakishi, no. Zheng Jingzhou,
Yes.
thank you very much, Zheng. Muhammad Mahendra Arif Kushuma. Muhammad Mahendra, no. No. All right, guys. Thank you very much for coming in. Any problem, please don't forget to send me an email. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you,
Have
sir.
a good weekend. I'll see you guys on. Oh, next week is off. I'll see you after next week. Okay. Thank you. You want to say something, Murad?
So I just had a question regarding we had to do the portfolio every week.
Yes.
Just I was wondering whether because obviously family matters during the first half of the semester, whether I'd get a fail for because I read in the module that you'd get a fail if you didn't complete most of it. So like I was wondering what I
As
could do
long
about
as,
that.
look, there are around 10 portfolio questions. If you actually try some of them, that's fine. We take that you attempted. Okay.
Right. Okay.
Maybe not all of them, but if you try to do some of them, that should be fine.
Okay then.
Okay.
All right
Anything
then.
else?
No, just that. Thank you, sir.
No worries. Thank you
All right.
very much. You have a good day.
You too. Bye now.